Hello, everyone. Just had an Oriole game on. Just completed there. I forgot about that when I put the start time. So, Orioles just ended. Bad news in Camden Yards, getting beat by the Red Sox. So, thank you very much for joining us here for the Ravery Sports Podcast. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content here. NFL Draft pregame and postgame is on draft day, April 24th. So we'll definitely check that out. Genesis Notary Services, Facebook.com. If you want to book a session for the notary business right on the website. Had my, again, restart this week. Had some notary appointments this week. So thank you for that. RaverySports.company.site. So definitely you can get Ravens and Orioles hats right on the website. C. Charles Harris. We are LegalShield.com. Definitely Legal Shield if you are looking to book anything for your business. If you need collections, if you need CPA advice, legal advice, I booked a session for the smallest of contracts. So for my business, so definitely check it out. Legal Shield, definitely if you want to get Legal Shield for yourself or your family, get will done. Absolutely use a Legal Shield for that. So definitely check that out. All right. A lot to get to this week. So we thank you very much for joining us here. So we got mock draft. Number 3 is the name of the stream here. We're going to start with the NFL mock draft 3. So this is the third one. So now we're in the mock draft area where there is bluffing going on, right? So the first mock draft is a bit of a true thing where teams are really going in one direction or another direction. You know, you kind of hear the truth. The other thing, the second one is then you got post-free agency. So now you filled some needs, so you need some change. Now we're totally in the bluff season. So now teams are out here saying things that are completely untrue. Why? Because they don't want the other teams to know what's going on. So let's get to the mock draft 3 part. So this is the third one that we have. Some changes, some stays the same. A lot of the picks change based on now what's been happening in free agency. So now we know what happened in free agency to some players. We know exactly what's going on there. Apparently, we're having trouble streaming on Twitch here tonight. So let's go ahead and get this squared away for you. So let's take a look at the draft. So at the top, I think it's the same. It's all but a foregone conclusion that the Tennessee Titans are going to take Cam Ward. I think he's very much like the guy, the late Steve McNair that they had. Can Brian Callahan corral him and get a guy that they understand how to use and everything? I think that is probably the biggest thing with the Cam Ward. Can you actually use him properly to go ahead and be successful with Cam Ward? Shedeur Sanders, I think, is going to be 2. I don't buy any of the smoke saying that they're going to do Abdul Carter or any of that stuff. I do think they have to have a quarterback. Look, Kirk Cousins, and I don't buy it. I think Myles Garrett signed there. I think one of the reasons he signed is because they're going to sign Shedeur Sanders. He may drop after this. There are some teams, if he gets past 3 with the Giants, which I can't imagine, I think he may drop. There is some negative about him. I think Shador, I think, is going to be number 2. Travis Hunter, I think, is 3 for the Giants. They could take Abdul Carter, but I think they're probably, if they do have anything on the Giants, I think they do have good offensive line. They do have good defensive linemen. So I think the need for Hunter is probably more for him than it is Abdul Carter. We could argue back and forth. Abdul Carter for 3 in New England. Offensive lineman, I think, is still a need for them, probably the biggest need, but you can't pass on a generational guy like Abdul Carter. Mason Graham is a great fit for the Jags, I think. I think like they definitely, their biggest need is probably, you could say, D tackle inside. This is a guy, I think he's a notch below Carter and Hunter in as far as generational. Not as big a need as the quarterback, but definitely top 5 player in the draft for sure. In a lot of drafts, in a weaker draft, he might be a number 1 player. Mason Graham, I think, is 5 for the Jags. Ashton Genty, I think, goes to the Raiders. Look, they were my dad's favorite team. Al Davis's Raiders, now Mark Davis's Raiders. They love to take those skilled players. They don't like necessarily offensive tackle. No, they want to take a wide receiver. They want to take a running back. They want to take a quarterback. So they signed Geno Smith. I think taking a guy with Genty, I think, is definitely, absolutely a Raider move. Also, too, Pete Carroll is there, want to run the football, establish the run. You could take it. You could do it with a guy like Genty. Take him in the top 5 and establish that. Will Campbell for the Jets. I'm going to concede that probably Will Campbell is going to be the number 1 player taken. I don't love him. I think his leverage is good. He's a good pass blocker. To me, his arms are kind of short. He's not strong enough to me to be that high. But I think the Jets' need for the tackle is so big. I think that's probably the direction they're going to go. Campbell's probably the best. I like, actually, Banks more than him. But I definitely think Campbell is going to be the pick there in that spot. Jalen Walker for the Carolina Panthers. Panthers need edge, I think, more as much as any team around. I think they're definitely going to have to take it. I think Walker is the best player on the edge that's left on the board. Outside of Abdul Carter, I think he's more now of a outside linebacker-ish type, 3-4 edge. May have to evolve a little bit in Carolina, but I definitely think he's going to be your pick. Mikael Williams, his teammate at Georgia, as edge. This is more of a traditional down lineman. I think he fits better in New Orleans. It's tough to tell the direction they're going to go. They have a couple needs there in New Orleans, but definitely you got Cam Jordan getting older as well. They finally may be getting out of cap jail here pretty soon, so they do need some help on defense. I think Williams, I think, is the best sure edge rusher, probably of the guys here, of the edge rush, maybe as good against the run as any of these guys. So this is a good choice. Calvin Banks, I think, goes 10 for the Bears. Bears still need offensive tackle help. They did do a lot with the offensive line. I'm not thinking they're done yet. Definitely they got guard to guard. They could use a tackle for sure. So I definitely think Banks is a fit for them at tackle. Definitely offensive line. The job 1, 2, and 3 for them is to protect Caleb Williams. James Pierce for the edge and the Niners. I think the Niners are pretty much in a soft rebuild, even if they go ahead and re-sign Brock Purdy. I think edge for Pierce, best one on the board. Now, not as sure of this group here of these edge guys, so you're gonna not getting not like Walker in the higher group, but definitely fitting in a good defense. Any guy, I could say this: you want to develop a D tackle or a D line or edge rusher, have him play on the other side of Nick Bosa. That's a good idea. That might be a good idea. Amarian Hampton, North Carolina. So I definitely still think Dallas needs to take a running back early. I think there's some convention of going with Henderson or Jenkins or whatever going in the second round. I don't think they wait at all. This is easy their biggest need on their football team. They have to take a running back. I think Hampton is pretty good. Now, the question is, maybe this is a little high for Hampton, but I think you could play him in the first round. Definitely more traditional between the tackles guy, though. Definitely a guy like Brian Schottenheimer, like a defensive guy like him, will know how to fit it. And I don't know much about Schottenheimer yet as a head coach. He's been an assistant his whole career, but definitely his father, Marty Schottenheimer, this is exactly what he would have done. This is exactly the type of player he would have taken. Big, strong, bruising back as well. Armin Membu for the Dolphins at offensive tackle. Membu, I think, is the real deal. I think he's a right tackle, though, a guard. I don't think he's going to be a left tackle at any point in his career, but definitely you could put him in right tackle. Again, good situation for him. Having Armstead on the other side where you can develop an Armin Membu, I think you could put him in right away. I think it's a pretty good argument between the top three guys, Will Campbell, Calvin Banks, and Armin Membu. I've heard people say all three different guys as far as the leader in the fairway. Pick your poison. I think the run blocker is Armin Membu, and I think the Dolphins are going to go there. I've had Tyler Warren the other two mock drafts for the Colts. I think I'm going to have him here. There is a chance that he could go higher. I don't think so. I think there's too many needs for those other teams there. Tyler Warren, this is 9-1-1 for the Colts. The annoying Chris Ballard and Jim Irsay have to take Tyler Warren here. They need a tight end. I think that's their biggest need. Shamar Stewart, the edge for the Falcons. I think this is a bit of a roll of the dice. I think like you've seen this before. This is the guy who plays great football in gym shorts. Looks great with his shirt off, ripped, etc. Like this on the field, the production isn't there yet. I think people kind of fall in love with the measurables, which you never know. I mean, sometimes that might work, but the Falcons, this is a definitely need for the Falcons. They have to take edge. They passed on it last year. They struggled with it all last year. Matt Judon didn't work out for them. They have to figure out a way to rush the passer. It can make a big difference for them in wins and losses. Mike Green, I thought he did play well at the Senior Bowl. So definitely it's a need for the Cardinals. I think this is a guy could be rising on the boards. I think always it's a little fairly unfairly a little biased against guys at a small school like him. But I think this is a solid player. I mean, he looked really good against better competition. So I'm really comfortable taking him here. Going to be a lot of edge rushes. A lot of teams need edge rush as well. Kenneth Grant for the Bengals. Bengals have showed up that wide receiver thing. So they went ahead. They signed T. Higgins. They went ahead and signed Jamar Chase. So that's definitely not a need. They may extend Joe Burrow. They could use some help on offensive line. I don't know if one is there. Secondary, possibly, but I think like a D tackle like Grant is definitely a need. BJ Hill's going to need some help going forward. They definitely need help on defense. Tyler Booker. I'm very positive that Mike McDonald is going to take an offensive guard. Booker, I think, is a fantastic choice for Mike McDonald. I love Booker. He's a mauler, and he is a technician. He's got good hands. He's more of a mauler than he is the hands. I think some people are saying that. I've seen him. Great hands, great footwork, great size, strong. I think definitely this is an absolute need for them. They're gonna do quarterback Sam Darnold. They want to go ahead and protect him. Jai Campbell, definitely a need for the Bucs. Definitely, you got. Look. Delonte David is about 49 years old now. At this point, the other linebacker didn't work out for him. This is definitely big time prime need for the Bucs. So definitely they need this. This is the guy, and this is if you want it in the first round. This is the guy that you have to take. Jai Campbell, 19. Colston Loveland for the Broncos. I mocked him here before. Pretty sure they take him if he's there. I think there is a chance, but this is the best, probably deep receiving tight end in the draft. Definitely the vertical stuff, down the field, all that. Not quite Shannon Sharp, But definitely going to Denver, that's definitely what you're thinking. If you have a Bo Nix, you're definitely looking for a guy like this, a Colston Loveland. A couple more. Jade Barron for the Squealers. Jade Barron, I think, is a great. It's too easy for people to say he's a good nickel guy because I think that's obvious. I think in the slot he's really going to wreak havoc, but I think he can play outside on the corners at either side. Joey Porter definitely needs a partner with him, so I think Barron, I think, is a great port. I do think they're considering Jackson Dart here, at least. Whether Aaron, we think Aaron's going to sign. I don't know why Aaron hasn't signed already, for God's sake. But everybody thinks he's going to sign there anyway. But I think they're considering that here. But I think Barron, short of that, I think they take Barron. I think Barron winds up winning out. McMillan is kind of dropping in the draft along with a lot of these receivers. I have him at 22nd here. I do think this is a good situation for any receiver, especially a rookie. Look, good run game. They're going to run the ball a lot. They got Najee Harris here in the run game. The Chargers they're going to run the football. And so you have Latin McConkey on the side. McMillan for Arizona got the graphic right this time, Kenny. So Arizona got the graphic right. Dropping a little bit in the draft, hearing some things. I'm not surprised. These receivers don't blow me away when I'm looking at them. McMillan probably the best one, but I can understand. Luther Burton for the Packers, definitely need a receiver for the Packers. I actually do like their receiving group, but there's a lot of injuries there. A lot of their guys get hurt. I definitely think getting another young body in there, you're possibly not going to have Christian Watkins at all next season, so definitely that's a move. Look, the oldest starting safety in the NFL might be Harrison Smith for the Vikings. Why not get Malachi Starks, who definitely I think he's a plug-and-play starter right away. His last season wasn't his best season, but Starks, I absolutely believe, is a guy that you could play right away at safety. Absolutely need going forward, even though they did resign Harrison Smith going forward. Gary Zabel moving up the boards, great Senior Bowl. I think he can play tackle. He did play tackle at North Dakota State, which is a very small school. Zabel, I think, is good enough. He'll probably play guard. On the Texans, he'll probably play guard. I think they'll take a look at him at tackle, which is why I think the Texans will draft him. I mean, they want to take a look at a guy with this type of versatility starting at either spot, so I think the Texans do that. Josh Simmons, and as far as the Rams go, I think he's moving up some boards too. Injury was pretty serious last year. So I think that is still going to give some teams pause. Somebody may take him higher. I still kind of think teams would be apprehensive. I don't think the board's going to fall that way. I don't think Sean McVay lets this guy go past. Definitely a Josh Simmons here in the first round. The Ravens, Donovan Jackson. So when Josh Simmons got hurt, so who was playing for him? Donovan Jackson. So Ravens definitely need a guard. Look, Daniel Falele, God bless you. That ain't going to work. Andrew Voorhees was benched last year. So maybe they're ready to go with more experience, but I absolutely think this is still the biggest need. Donovan Jackson, you can put him in. We'll talk more about the Ravens draft here in a second, but definitely that's a player they have to look at. Donovan Uzurku from Boston College. So, edge. They're going to get Aiden Hutchinson back. I do think they go defense. For sure, I think they go defense, but I definitely think this is the highest guy on the board. More, again, to traditional 4-3 guy, exactly what they do. Could partner up with Aiden Hutchinson. I know that's exactly what Campbell is looking for there, somebody to do that. Jack Sawyer, edge with the Ohio State Buckeyes. Not the Redskins, the Commanders. The Commanders definitely could use edge. I think defense is where they go. They went ahead and filled some needs on offense. Definitely think those Ohio State those Ohio State edge guys, very impressed with those guys. Derek Harmon, tackle for the Bills. Bills, I think, Are they right now? You could argue if they're the best team in the AFC, and I think Derek Harmon absolutely helps them do that. They did have to get rid of some guys, but definitely that's a need to go next to Ed Oliver. This is best player on the board. Best player on the board. No one particular thing the Bills have to do, I don't think, in most spots. But this is definitely somebody you could take in the first round, a guy who could have went much higher. I got Josh Connolly for the Oregon Ducks going to the Chefs. The Chefs did get Jalen Moore. I do think they still need offensive tackle. They're starting a guy that's really never started before. Jawan Taylor really struggled. I still think that's a big need for them. JT Timberlow from Ohio State. The Eagles have a knack for taking these defensive guys and have them become studs no matter where they take them from. This is a very productive guy at Ohio State for the national champion Buckeyes. There you go. Round one of the draft. So, couple things. Not really buying the smoke with Shedeur. I don't buy it. I don't think a lot of teams will wait for Shedeur. I think the Browns are going to take him. I think the Giants are going to definitely take him. So I do think I'm really not buying a lot of the smoke with him as well. A lot of these teams are going to follow suit, so definitely late in the draft. I think the Steelers might be looking at a quarterback late. Dart, I'm not as big on him. I kind of don't understand why but I definitely think they're going to look at it. They may have to take him in the first round. So definitely keep an eye on that as well. All right. We got no draft. So we did the rest of the league. Let's do our squad. The Baltimore Ravens, third mock draft, still at 11 picks. I do think they're going to take a lot of these picks. I think they may trade out and go back, but I think they're going to take a lot of these picks. So let's go ahead and take a look at the draft. We just talked about Donovan Jackson. The comp, I'm going to do John Simpson, former Raven with the Jets. The only concern I have with Jackson is he's not really, as far as a zone blocker, I see some weaknesses there with him, but that's the only flaw I'm thinking I'm seeing. Maybe he needs to get a little better at zone block. He's a very good pass blocker. Very impressed. That's why he's playing tackle. But I think you put him at guard, I think he maybe needs to work on that. But otherwise, very good stuff for Donovan Jackson. The name Isaiah Thomas from Florida State. Jamal Dean is the name that comes up for the Bucs. This guy, I'm saying Jamal Dean, but the guy, the back in the day guy I'm thinking of is Marquez Pope for the 49ers. This guy is physical on the outside. So definitely you need a guy on the outside that's going to be physical, that's going to push you, that's going to, he's going to he uses his whole body to go ahead and block people. So that's the guy. Cover corner. Absolutely. And definitely he could tackle in the run game. You can put him at safety if you need to. I think definitely he's a guy. Corner, I think, is a need for that. Dad lesson over there. Barrett Carter for the Clemson Tigers. Zach Cunningham for the Broncos is the guy. Cunningham, I think, is kind of a good comp for Barrett Carter. Just a good instinctive tackler. A little bit smallish, not a tremendous hitter, but an instinctive tackler. Finds a way to get to the football, go to the football. So definitely, he played. I believe he played on the same team as Trent Simpson at one point. I think that's right because he played at Clemson for Dabo. So, but definitely a guy who could float a football. I don't know if he's a starter right away, but definitely a guy who can put in and you know what he's going to do. He's very good he's fascinating because he's very good in that intermediate area. Not some guys you could say linebacker, great at the line of scrimmage, linebacker, great coverage. He's kind of great in between, right? He kind of lives in that space, not really up on the guys, and not really deep in coverage. So it's interesting. Barrett Carter, number 91-3. Malachi Moore for the Alabama. You know how much Ozzie Newsome likes these Alabama guys. I do think he's really being slept on. a little small. That's the only thing. I think if he was a little bit bigger, I think they would. If he was like 215, 220, he's about 210 ish, 205. So he's a little small. I think that's the only reason he's dropping. Everything I like about Malachi Starks, though. Malachi Moore. Nothing not to like about Malachi Moore. I think definitely being slept on. Solid tackler, solid hitter. A little small. I think that's the concern because at safety, you want to can he hold it physically? But other than that, he's great. Definitely reminds me of Buda Baker from the Cardinals. Typical Raven-like stuff here. The comparison to Matt Judon, small school, outstanding production, great speed. Played at Central Arkansas. When you got a guy at a school like a Central Arkansas, like a locally a Shenandoah or something, something. If he's going to play in the NFL, he needs to be the best athlete on the field. That's what every time I saw David Walker, that's what you saw. He's the best athlete on the field at a small college. So definitely he's a guy they can bring in and compete for that edge rush spot. This is exactly the spot I think they would pick a guy. This is historically what they've done. A guy, tremendous speed, great quicks for Derek Walker. Troy Horton, I think he's the only one I have mocked again from the last one from Colorado State. Definitely they're going to need some competition for that wide receiver spot. And kick returner Luke McCaffrey for the Cardinals. Great hands, can catch the ball over the middle of the field. Definitely good on special teams. Holland Pierce for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. So definitely a guy that played in the Big Ten. Another guy really slept on. I know why they don't like him because his bend isn't great because he's so daggone big. He's at least 330. I don't buy the fact that he's 320 nothing. This guy is at least 340. That's a lie. He's trying to not be too heavy and out of shape, but he's a really big guy. Reminds me of the great Mark Tuinei, played for the Dallas Cowboys. Just a big guy. Get his hands on you, forget it. Not going to happen. You're not going to just push him around and all that. He's just got to stay in good enough shape. I don't even care about the bend because he's so strong. Definitely a guy. I think had he played at a bigger school, he'd be definitely going higher as well. Not as also good in the run game. I think the more concern that I saw for a guy his size, he should just be just throwing guys farther than what he is. He goes a little timid sometimes in the run game, but definitely a guy absolutely being slept on. Oh, real quick. Max Brosmer. I don't question his arm at all. Every time I've seen Brosmer, I've always been impressed with his throwing arm, his ability to throw downfield. He doesn't throw outside the numbers great. I think that's a little bit of a pause. Played a lot of years at New Hampshire, played last year in Minnesota. I think developmental guy is definitely worth taking because the physical tools are there. Probably a career backup, but definitely something the Ravens want to look at. Even though they got Cooper Rush, you could put this guy on the practice squad or a third string. Definitely a guy worth looking at as well. Brosman is being slept on. I thought he was dropped on as a player last year. Ryan Fitzgerald kind of reminded me of Greg Zuerlein of the Rams. Tucker's out of the door. You can't do what he's doing with all these massage therapists and all these women and kicked out of the league and play poorly and stay on the team. I think Eric DeCosta and John Harbaugh are being nice by, out of some respect for him, but he's gone. I definitely think at the very least he's going to have strong competition in camp. I think Fitzgerald, 6th round. I do think they go in the draft and do it too. I don't think they wait till after free agency. I think they're going to do it in the draft, make sure they get who they want. Ty Hamilton. I have Mike Patterson of the Eagles from years ago. Undersized, but maybe he's very valuable. I think he can definitely fit in a rotation like what we have. You're definitely not going to start, but he definitely can fit in a rotation. There's no question about it. Good speed. I think you could take him in the 6th round. John Madden always said, if your guy comes from nowhere late in the draft or undrafted, you take a big guy, you take a fast guy. Here's the big guy, Nazir Stackhouse from Georgia. Kind of reminds me of Michael Pierce. Just a big, strong guy. Just Kenny State. Had this been the NFL years ago, for sure he'd win higher. But I think because of his size, never going to really be an edge rusher, a pass rusher, but definitely a big old strong nose worth taking. He's here this late. He's definitely worth taking a shot on with his size and strength. There you go. So We got through it, both drafts. The offensive line is a spot that the Ravens definitely have to look at. So guard, I think, is definitely a thing. Guard is definitely something that the Ravens absolutely have to look at going forward. Taking a guy early as well. Holes on defense, but definitely things that the Ravens are looking at as well. Safety is one. Defensive backfield, their holes. Holes on defensive line after the starters. A lot of work to do. Do they take 11 picks? Yeah. They might trade one and replenish, but I don't think they trade up and do anything. I think they want to keep all those picks and fill the holes that they have in the draft. So there you go. As well, we are going to talk a little basketball here today. Not a lot here, unfortunately, with this one, with Maryland. Here, we're gonna go here and talk about that. We're definitely gonna talk about Maryland today. What's going on? I'm gonna do a whole timeline, but 87 to 71. So definitely too much Gators in this one. The Gators, I think the length of it was and the depth was just more than what Maryland had. The starting five was good, but it got exposed. Seton Miguel, not so great, I don't think, in this one. I think they definitely needed him. Queen, I think, was good. Reese, the strategy I thought in this game was good as well on Thursday night. Strategy I thought was good. Slow the game down, kind of walk the ball up, take time, get the ball inside. All good for a half. I think in the second half, I think they didn't turn the ball over as much. I think they had like 13 turnovers in the first half. Turned the ball over less. Terps really were successful. Gators were really successful. Condon also didn't play in the first half as well. Got healthy in the second. That was it, 87-71. So shout out to the Crab 5 Terps. We're definitely going to get back to the Terps here because there's a lot going on there. But Terps definitely already. We'll go there. We'll go here. Jacoby Bileski already in the portal. Ronnie Rice already in the portal. Miguel, I think, is gone. I think he's a senior. Definitely Junior Reese is a senior. And you would think Derek Queen hasn't hit in the portal yet. He said he hasn't went in the portal yet. Well, he's going in the draft. Right? So he's going to be in the lottery, most likely. DHS also going in the portal. Jordan Geronimo, I think, also played as a senior. So there you go. All right, so let's talk about the Final Four that's coming up this weekend. So for the first time in a long time, we got first time I can remember, we got 4 number 1 seeds here. Let's talk about this game. Let's talk about this game first because I get queued up. Duke and Houston, I think, is the second game. Is 8:45 at the Alamo Dome in Texas. Cooper Flag, I think. I was a little skeptical of him being the number 1 overall pick for the entire draft. Watching him at the end of the season, I'm no longer skeptical. This guy is absolutely the goods, the real deal. 18.9 a game, I think, because he's not playing as many minutes. Made the comparison to Larry Bird. I agree. Definitely does a lot well. A little bit more athletic than Larry was. Not quite as good of a shooter, but does all the measurables. Shoot the ball well. Good size, good length, good athleticism. Flag, I think, is the biggest reason he's there for John Shires. Hard not to say Coach K. Tyrese Proctor for Duke, 12.5, 2.2 points a game. I think he is also really good there. Senior, their other freshman, I think, is going to be the best player going forward once Flag leaves. Con Capel, 14 points, 9.3 rebounds as well. And then LJ Cryer is the straw that stirs the drink. Jim Nantz went on, it actually not calling the game, which is weird enough because he called for 30 years, said he was so proud of his Houston Cougars. Didn't have a lot of portal, able to keep their guys. Very senior laden. LJ Cryer, 15 points, 35% from 3. Outstanding shooter. This guy is 6'1", great speed. The length of Duke might bother him, I think. Muslim Uran, 11 points, 4 assists a game. you could call him their point guard. He's definitely the guy that really handles the ball the most for them as well. Jawan Roberts, I think for Houston, 10.7 rebound. I think he's essentially the center. They list him at forward. A lot of times it's hard nowadays to get these guys to call themselves anything. These coaches are so subterfuge. I definitely like the Blue Devils in this game. Been there and done that. Shire has a chance, I think, legitimate chance to actually win his first national championship. There's so much pressure on a Duke coach now that he's not named Krzyzewski to win the national championship. So we will see. Before that, you got the Gators who knocked out the Terps against the Auburn Tigers. This is going to be very, very, very close. Two teams. This is the length, the depth versus, I think, the guy. The best player of the court. So Walter Clayton reminds me a lot of the great Reggie Miller, even though he's shorter, much shorter. He's about 6'3". His ability to run behind screens and shoot really quickly is unbelievable. Don't ever call him point guard. When you are 6'3" and you can play as a shooting guard, the only way you get to do that in the NBA is if you are nothing but net like this guy. This guy is exactly like that. Even a bit of a streaky guy like that. So Walter Clayton, absolutely the best player. They have great length on this team. Elijah Martin is their other scorer, 14 and a half points a game. 14 and a half points a game, about 6'2". So he kind of handles the ball more. There really is no true point guard. Not really. I mean, both of these guys kind of handle the ball equally there, but I think this is definitely a guy that handles it probably the most, or should there as well. Alex Condon, it made a huge difference in the Maryland game when Condon went out with the injury, so he's good to go. They have a lot of bigs in this one. I think Condon, is their best one. 10.8, 7-point assist a game. Johnny Brune, I think, reminds me so much of the Chris Webber. It's ridiculous. He wears number 4. Thing is he's so strong, you can't put a body on him at all. He carries up too much space. If you kind of put a body on him, you can forget it. He's just going to back you and dunk it on you, or just take space. Guys have trouble holding position, man against boys. So I think they're more carried by their main guy, Chad Baker-Mazara. Stutter step. With him, he's going to stutter step you to death. Got to make a lot of awkward shots, go to the rim, whatever. Great playing off a big guy. So when they go ahead and dump the ball in, you can take it out and pass it out to Baker-Mazara. He's going to make a stutter step, a shot, etc. Not a really killer with a long range, but with that, Miles Kelly also to transfer from Georgia is outstanding at 11.4 points a game. Super quick as well. I'm having a hard time not picking Florida from what I saw. I think the depth is going to be too much. I think you have to contain Broome, and I think they might have enough bodies and size to contain him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I do like Auburn. I did like Auburn at the start of the tournament. Watching it though, I do say that Florida. I'd take Florida over Auburn. I'd take Duke to win the game. We will see it. Definitely check it out on Saturday as well. Wow. Okay, so this one. Let's even put the graphic up because it's been quite a week at College Park. So I want to walk you through kind of the timeline. I'll take the graphic. I kind of want to walk you guys through what happened this week at College Park. So Kevin Willard actually leaves and goes to Georgia. Villanova. Hijacked my stream last week. Everybody was saying F Kevin Willard, do all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah on the stream. It was crap. I'm trying to do a stream here, right? And the Twitter, I'm trying to pull up the videos and everybody, and I didn't know what was going on fully at the time. So let's kind of walk you through the timeline of pretty much a loose timeline. Everything goes on. So on March 15th, while this is going on, Villanova fires Kyle Neptune after Jay Wright, all success, 3 years, no NCAA appearances. So the Villanova job becomes open. They don't make the tournament. So he goes out. The name that was rumored was Richard Pitino, the son of the great St. John's coach Rick Pitino. gets rumored to be the Villanova's open position. So that went on for a couple of days. That actually wound up not happening. So what actually happened is Richard Pitino winds up going from New Mexico, even though he's rumored to Xavier. So he goes into Xavier, doesn't wind up taking the Villanova job. While all this is going on, Kelvin Willard rumors to Villanova start. So the Pitino thing, I think, is a thing here because it's a thing because I think like had Richard Pitino taken the job, maybe this isn't even happening, that they hire Richard Pitino. But that didn't happen. So the rumors kind of swirled that they were interested in Kevin Willard. Kevin Willard is originally from his job before he had at Maryland. He was at Seton Hall. Then he went to Maryland after that, after several years. But the rumors were kind of swirling around that Kevin Willard was going there. Kevin Willard, then he goes, rumor comes out, he's ready to be one of the top 10 paid coaches in college basketball, gives a contract extension to Mr. Villanova. Rumors as well. He has been making vocals, seemed like he was negotiating for some changes, worried about NIL money, more resources going to football than to basketball, etc. There was some issues and things there. So, but it would seem to be all good because Willard was going to sign the extension at Maryland to go ahead and do that at the time as well. So we're going back to March 16th. March 22nd, amidst disagreements, etc., Damon Evans loses. Maryland officially loses that direct. Damon Evans, who had been in Maryland since 2018, left College Park, heading to Texas, the state of Texas, rather, to oversee SMU Southern Methodist University. So Damon Evans is gone. I don't know exactly this part of it as far as the arguments he was having with Kevin Willard. Apparently, those two did not get along. So I don't know if he was pushed out or he left, but he leaves. He takes a similar job at SMU, which is now in the ACC, and so he's gone. So right now, there's no AD at Maryland anymore. While this is going on, a couple of days later, Mike Locksley, I have no comment. Learned in 33 years, there are no utopias, as I've stated numerous times. We need to build a better foundation. Even family has its issues, as Sterling is saying, but I'm the opinion that these things should be handled behind closed doors. Okay, so Loxley's not exactly happy with the Willard contract because Willard wants to take resources out of his pocket. He's trying to compete. It's hard enough to compete in the Big Ten. Willard's fighting, okay, this is a football school. They're trying to take resources over there. He's not happy. Also, he's not happy with a lot of the public stuff that he is saying. But seemingly right now, all good. Willard goes ahead and takes the job. Now, rumors again begin to swirl that questions that Willard taking the job, Pitino's out of the job. Kevin Willard sidestepped questions about potential interest from Villanova, and the coaching vacancy was 316. Now, this is rumored that it's happening at this point, that he sidestepped questions. Rumor is he skipped a team meal. That goes back and forth. Some people say he always missed it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Right? So that's a thing as well. So interesting to see what happens there. So, and that's a very good point. This is all happening, the graphic up. This is all happening while the games are going. They're in the Big Ten tournament, right? They're in the NCAAs. They're getting ready. And all they're talking about is Kevin Willard, where he's going, and blah, blah, blah. All this stuff is happening while they're getting ready for games right now. So this is unbelievable that this is going on. So on March 30th, it happens. Willard actually takes the job with the Villanova Wildcats officially. So after all that, the negotiating, the fighting, all that, losing the AD, getting what you want, not getting what you want, Willard actually takes the job at Villanova as well. The Terps put out a head coach. So very quickly after that, as we speak, all this has happened since the last stream. All this has happened since we talked. So, and now former Texas A&M coach, real cool dude, Buzz Williams, takes the job at the Terps. Buzz Williams is really cool. Guy, I was really impressed with him at the tournament. So I'm fine with them getting Buzz Williams as the coach. So there's the timeline. That's what happened. All right. Lot there. Unpack this. Couple things. Steve Blake mentioned, came out publicly on Twitter and said he wanted the job. Tony Skinn, Dwayne Simpkins, former Terp, coaching an American. Why didn't they hire them? Right? I think a home Dunkirk is required. Why didn't they hire them? I'll tell you why they didn't hire them. They don't have time in the transfer portal. That's why. That's why you hire a Buzz Williams. You could argue you're going to have the same problem, but now you ain't got no problem. Buzz Williams already has a staff. Buzz Williams already has players on a similar level in Maryland. Buzz Williams was in the tournament this year, so he could take some of those Texas A&M guys, bring them to Maryland, take some staff, bring them to Maryland. Whereas if you take 4 weeks and decide if you like Steve Blake, or I'm just using Blake as an example because I saw that on Twitter, but Dwayne Simpkins or one of those guys. So for those of you out there who wanted him, that's the reason why Buzz Williams got the job. And also Buzz Williams is a cool dude. That's like, it's hard to dislike him. He's an unusual guy. He wears bow ties. He's from the South, says a lot of things. He's not typical of Maryland coach, what we've had, but that's why you hire a Buzz Williams. So I kind of don't think this is the guy in the long term, but in the short term, I totally understand it, and I totally understand why. Interesting to see what happens going forward with the Terps, but it's been quite a week. It's been quite a week. By the way, they were in the Big Ten tournament. By the way, they're in the Sweet 16s. By the way, they're the best season they had 9 years. So all that. So Willard's gone. He's in Villanova. Buzz Williams is now the new coach here at Maryland going forward. And I didn't mention earlier that Rice and Gillespie, who they were trying to keep, are now elsewhere. Gillespie was actually in Tennessee today. Possibility they go to Villanova or come back. So we'll see. They're in the portal. All right. Quite a week in College Park. Oreos. Let's talk a little Orioles. Opener. Well, the opener was the good news. The bad news is they had to play the rest of the week. They didn't look great, but the opener was fantastic. And 12-2 on opening day on Thursday, Orioles won that game. They're still waiting on their leader, Gunnar Henderson, but they turned Rogers Center into a pinball wizard. Adley Rutschman hit 2 home runs, 3 RBIs in this game. Cedric had 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. I had no idea in the game tonight, and I'm gonna skip to that. Why on earth was Cedric hitting at the bottom of the order with the week he's had? That's crazy. I'm getting more frustrated with Hyde's lineup, but we're not talking about that yet. Hyde, they actually won the game, the first game, 5 RBIs. Cedric, tremendous storming out of the gate. Zach Eflin has a good start. He had a quality start in this one, 6 innings pitched, 2 runs. They'll take that all season. He's not Corbin Burns. He's not great. They'll take that. Good quality starts every night from Burns. I mean, and they split it offensively. They shut the Blue Jays down. The Blue Jays didn't score at all. 0 for 2, Vladdy Jr. He had the 1 strikeout. It was probably pretty cool that they got this 0 for 4 to Anthony Santander in the opener. No surprise. He does. I'm telling you, he doesn't play that well in Toronto. Historically, he doesn't play that well in Toronto. Barrios not great. 5 innings, 6 runs. Even though he got some more strikeouts, not great, I don't think, in this one as well. So the Orioles won the opener of the season in Toronto in Rogers Center. I think they got off to a good start, and that's always good. So it always is good. Some people said you could tell everything about the season by the first game. I don't know about that. But they had a good first game as well. Still waiting on Gunnar. Gunnar should be back in a couple of days. A lot of those guys are in Norfolk as well. Eflin was good. Batista came in and was good. So those concerns are there. Let's start the Orioles report because we definitely have other ones for the team. First of all, Gunnar Henderson sent to Norfolk for assignment. I think he'll be back this weekend. So I think you're going to have Gunnar. Gunnar has been playing in Norfolk. I think the only reason they put him in Norfolk, frankly, I think was he did miss a lot during the spring. So it is a bit of a concern with Gunnar, to get him started. I think if he was to play in Baltimore, then you got to play him every night. You got to play him. There's going to be more room. Whereas they can kind of group him in and out, kind of get him started easy in Norfolk. That's probably, to me, the only reason. Cody Poteet from the Chicago Cubs in exchange for good old cash considerations. So basically what they would have said in the old days is he got sold because they didn't trade for anything but money. So that's essentially what they got. Some people are concerned about Suarez when he made this move. Albert Suarez was placed on the 15-day DL, retroactive to March 29th. So he did pitch to one game. He's got injured. They did bring up Matt Bowman from Norfolk as well. Poteet, I don't think is ready to go anyway. I think it's going to be a little bit there. Also, Kyle Gibson's on the roster, so we'll see how that goes. I think Kyle Gibson, probably a few more weeks before you see Kyle Gibson. Recall Dylan Carlson from AAA Norfolk and plays Colton Cowser on the 10-day DL. So he broke his hand bad. So Cowser had a home run early in the first couple of games, but he hurt his hand. So they're not going to have Cowser here for about a month, or at least one. They said 6 to 8 weeks. So this is an opportunity now for Heston Kjerstad to play every day. Brandon Hyde. Let's see Heston Kjerstad play every day. One more time. Play every day. Let's see it. All right. No more reason, no more stuff. And again, he's not doing it already. I always saw again. I don't understand what he's doing with Kjerstad and Jackson Holiday. Jackson Holiday didn't play tonight. Well, we're gonna play him against some play guys. Let him get anyway. That's a whole nother thing. But that's with the injury, the openings there. We do know we're not going to have Colston with a broken hand, so he's going to come back hopefully soon. 6 to 8 weeks, we get him back. Dylan Carlson up from AAA to take the roster spot. Hot to start. Tyler O'Neill, Cedric Mullins, Adley. We already talked about Cedric and Adley hitting the 2 home runs in the opener. Tyler O'Neill, I think, has been good as well at the start. Thought he might be in right. He'll be in left. So good stuff by Tyler. Offense, they've been good at the start. Offense as a whole, everybody has been a start. What's been the problem? The pitching. Charlie Morton, not good in his first start. Colano Perez better start doing something soon. There's a lot of competition in the bullpen, and he wasn't good in this one either. So we'll see with Perez. Great stuff. And Heston Kjerstad, not off to a great start, but let's see him play every day. One more time. Let's get him in the rhythm. But not a great start first couple games as well. So hot, that's the first section. We do that every week. Hot and not as far as that goes. And who's hot and who's not. Secondly as well, who are the Orioles playing this week? Kansas City Royals are on the West Coast, so not quite a West Coast treat, going to the Midwest. Going to the Midwest and playing the Royals, the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year. So interesting to see how they go. Bobby Witt, I think, is maybe the best player in all the American League, if it's not Aaron Judge. Absolutely. And the Royals are going to get a shot to see their former ace, Forbin Burns, against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Interesting to see how that goes as well. And lastly, there as well, I'm going to give the player of the week to Adley Rutschman here so far, really the first week of the season. But Adley with the 2 home runs in Toronto, getting the team as well. He's looked really good so far. Looked really good. We know Adley's going to be back, but definitely more pressure on him. That's why I went ahead and gave it to him to go ahead and start big rubber match tomorrow to end the series in Toronto, trying to go out when they go on a road trip to go out west. All right. Thank you, guys, and thank you so much. A lot went on in Maryland. I was really worried about getting that all in, so I really appreciate y'all this week watching the Raven Sports Podcast with us as well. Real quick, Ravens, got a few seconds here. Eric DeCosta. Check out the interview with John Harbaugh and Steve Bisciotti. So we rarely hear from Steve Bisciotti at all anymore as far as that goes. So definitely talking a little bit John Harbaugh, new 3-year contract extension for the coach as well. So he's going to be around. That's going to make 21 years for the coach if he actually finishes the contract. So interesting to see how they talked about how much they wanted Matt Ryan in the start, how much he talked about it, et cetera. So interesting to go on the Ravens channel and check that out if you haven't as well. Definitely also to check out all the stuff we've got going on here at Ravens Sports. So thank you. A little late tonight, but we appreciate you for staying with us. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Ravens Sports Podcast. And you guys have a great rest of your week. Enjoy all the games.